Hare Krishna. So be absent-minded, not be Krishna-minded, not absent-minded. So this is, in fact, what is the need of the soul? The need of the soul is Sachitananda, as we know, Sachitananda, eternal, full of bliss, and full of knowledge. That's the nature of the soul. And in this world, everyone wants to enjoy. People want to enjoy this material world. In fact, we are meant to enjoy. One time, Srila Prabhupada said that there is no enjoyment in this world. There is no enjoyment. But another time, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that only the devotees know how to enjoy. So some of the devotees were confused, telling Srila Prabhupada, you mentioned earlier that there is no enjoyment, but now you're saying that only the devotees know how to enjoy. And then Srila Prabhupada said, yes, because this is real enjoyment. The nature of the soul is to enjoy, is to be blissful. That's why people are looking for enjoyment, but they are looking for the enjoyment externally. It's like we are meant to enjoy. The difference is people outside there, they want to enjoy without Krishna, but the devotees, they want to enjoy with Krishna. That's the difference. One time the Gopas, they went to the Yamuna with Krishna and they were playing football with Krishna. So at one point, Yasoda Mata came, it's not Yasoda, Rohini came for us to call for Krishna to take the lunch. Rohini came to call Krishna and Balaram, but they were absorbed in playing with the Gopas. So, and then they did not go back because they were so absorbed in playing. And Rohini had to come back. And Rohini Mata told Yasoda, you go and call them. So Yasoda went, this is more intelligent, so she was able to call them. And Krishna and Balaram, they were going back. And then the Gopas told Krishna Balaram, oh, why are you leaving now? We are playing, we want to play with you. So why are you leaving now? Please stay here, stay back and play with us. So the point I wanted to make is that they want to play, they want to enjoy. The Gopas want to enjoy, they want to play, but they want to play, they want to enjoy with Krishna. That's the difference. Material world, they want to enjoy, but they want to enjoy without Krishna. That's the difference. We also chanting, dancing, and eating, right? This is real enjoyment of the soul. So this is first-class enjoyment. If people want to enjoy, yes, they can enjoy, but enjoy first-class enjoyment, not first class, third class, or low class, and smoking and drinking like that. So this is the nature of the soul. When we look, when someone look inside, looking inside, and one is awakened, but looking outside, one is dreaming. When somebody is looking inside, and then he's awakened. When somebody is looking outside, is dreaming of this world. So one should become the master of the mind, not the slave of the mind. It's not easy, in fact, to control the mind, to be present, to control the mind is not easy. Like even Arjuna said that for me, because the mind is stubborn, very strong, Chanchalam Himanaha Krishna, and it's very, very difficult to control the mind. It is better to control the wind. If Arjuna is given to control the mind or the wind, for him it will be easier to control the wind. So now the wind also is very, very difficult to control. We understand. The wind is very, very difficult to control. So then what to speak of the mind? But for Arjuna, he can control the wind. Yes, he can control. He one time controlled the rain. He was able to control the rain, so he can control the wind also. But we understand that it's very, very difficult to control the mind. Sorry, the wind. But then how much more difficult it is to control the mind. So when a person is absent-minded, is lost. Is lost. When someone is absent-minded, he's lost. It is not that the mind is not there. The mind is there. The mind is there. When someone is absent-minded, is lost in one sense. It is not that the mind is not there. The mind is there, but he's lost. One time, also, Rukmini Devi, she was telling Lalita Devi one time, what is that? Because Dwarka is the wealthiest abode in Vaikunta. The richest abode in Vaikunta is Dwarka. We don't lack anything. It is the richest place. So why my husband is always absent-minded? When I talk to him, he's kind of absent-minded. He's always thinking of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. You know, sometimes we see between husband and wife, when they talk, the wife is talking to the husband. Sometimes the husband is absent-minded, thinking about something else, right? He's there, his body is there, everything is there, but he's absent-minded, right? So Krishna also, because Krishna is always thinking of the inhabitants of the Brijbasis, even when he's sleeping, he's dreaming, and he's talking in the night during sleep, taking the names of the Gopas and the Gopis and the cows. So Rukmini is saying that my husband, many times he's absent-minded because he's thinking of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So like that, even the Gopis also, they were absent-minded. They're looking for Krishna everywhere. They're talking to the trees, and they are talking to the peacock, where's Krishna? Because they became so mad, and they're looking for Krishna everywhere. So what does that mean to be absent-minded? It is not that the mind is absent. It is in fact the control over the mind. It is in fact the control over the mind that is absent-minded. Because the mind, body is there, everything is there. It is the control over the mind. So the awareness. So when the mind is present, but awareness is lost. And our awareness is being dragged away. So often that we get caught. We get caught, the mind get caught somewhere and not being attentive. We're not being attentive. For example, when chanting, also when we are chanting, we're chanting the holy name, we are absent-minded. The mind is somewhere else. We often get caught and not being attentive. We being absent-minded. So it is, in fact, what is absent is a control of the mind. It's like sometimes somebody is driving a car, and the driving becomes out of control, right? Sometimes it becomes when he's speeding up, and the driving becomes out of control. So everything is there: the power steering, the car, the driver, the wheels. It's all there. But what is absent is the control over the vehicle. That is lost. The control over the vehicle. Everything is there in the car. So our control over the mind is lost. And then the mind becomes in control. So now to avoid the absent-minded, to avoid that absent-minded, in fact, is to give the mind a positive activity, right? Like even Arjuna said, when Arjuna is saying that it is very, very difficult to control the mind. It's better for me to control the wind than controlling the mind. So Krishna said, yes, Arjuna, it is undoubtedly very difficult. Krishna agreed, yes. Because after speaking of mind control, in chapter 6, then after that, Arjuna said that it is very, very difficult. This practice is very difficult, Krishna. I can't do it. The mind's stubborn, is teeth, strong, and it's very difficult to control the mind. Krishna said, yes, it is undoubtedly very, very difficult to control the mind, but it is possible. It is possible by practice and vairagya. Practice and vairagya. So to avoid this absent-minded is in fact to give the mind a positive activity, and the mind will become joyful. And such activity pleases Krishna as well. And then we become Krishna-minded. So we have said that, and then we also get satisfaction. The soul also becomes satisfied. So that it's question of becoming focused, Krishna-minded, to become focused. It becomes easy to focus on Krishna when we get satisfied, and when the mind is controlled, and when the mind is engaged in positive activity. So then we move towards Krishna through awareness, become Krishna conscious, and then we make progress in our spiritual life. So again, when Arjuna is saying yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam astiram tatas tato niyam yaitat atmani eva vasam nayet. Whatever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So Arjuna said that chanchalam hi manaha Krishna pramahati balavad dhridam. Chanchalam is chanchal. His mind is chanchal, flickering. Pramati balavat, very strong. Dhridam, dheet, stubborn. So that's what Arjuna is saying. It is very, very difficult to control the mind. So the mind runs here and there most of the time. When the mind is engaged in service, the mind becomes happy. And in fact, the mind is a culprit behind everything. The mind, if somebody commits a crime, it's due to the mind. If someone commits suicide, it's due to the mind. If somebody becomes angry, it's due to the mind. Stress is also due to the mind. The mind is culprit behind everything. So in fact, Bharat Maharaj said that our existence in this material world is due to the mind. Our suffering also is due to the mind. The mind is a culprit of everything. So even Bharat Maharaj said this, Prahlad Maharaj also said the same thing. Avanti Brahmana also said the same thing. Avanti Brahmana said, very nicely, Avanti Brahmana said, he said that Avanti Brahmana, he was a Brahmana, very, very wealthy Brahmana, but then he became bankrupt. He lost everything. Even his wife and children, they all left him, and then he renounced the world, became a sannyasi. So, and then when he became a sannyasi, and he started to beg from door to door, and the people, they knew him because earlier he was very rich. He was a kripana. So he was kripan, and then the people, now what they're doing, the villagers, they're teasing him, they're beating him, throwing stones, urine, and stools on him, but he would not tell him, he would not revenge, he would not say anything. And he said that I'm getting what I deserve. He said, this is not, I'm suffering now, yes, but they are not the cause of my suffering. These people are not the cause of my suffering. I'm just getting what I deserve. In fact, in this world, we don't get what we want. We get what we deserved. We get a kind of, we take birth in a family according to what we deserve, not what we want. We get a wife, a husband, according to what we deserved. Children according to what we deserved. We are born in a country according to what we deserve. We don't get things according to what we want. It's due to our karma. So Avanti Brahmana said that these people who are teasing me, beating me, they are not the cause of my suffering. So just like the example is given, if a postman, if somebody is doing a wrong driving, wrong driving, not proper driving, then he's fined by the police, stop him, fine him. And then at the end of the month, somebody got the letter that he has to go and pay fine. So, and the postman bring the letter. So the postman bring the letter, but the postman is not the cause of that fine. So the person himself is a cause of that because he was doing wrong driving. So Avanti Brahmana said the same thing also. He said, this person is not the cause of my suffering. I'm getting what I deserve. And he mentioned that if somebody is, sometime we eat nicely, we eat some nice food, and sometimes it happened that we bite the tongue and it's painful, right? It happened that we bite the tongue and it's so painful. Now, who is the cause? So our own action of this pain, this suffering. Now, our own action. That's what Avanti Brahmana said. He said also, if you're walking and your right leg hit the left leg by mistake, it happened. And so who is the cause? Our own action is a cause of suffering. But he said, Avanti Brahmana said that it's not the demigods who is the cause. It is not time. It is not even my karma. It is not the planets. Sometimes we blame other people. It is not because of these people I'm suffering. He said, I'm suffering because of my mind. So the mind is the culprit behind everything. So, and the mind also wants to enjoy this world. So the mind, to become Krishna-minded, because the mind, of course, the mind is higher than the senses. The mind is higher than the senses, and higher than the senses is intelligence. So intelligence, one should be able to, but in Kali Yuga, the mind overtakes the intelligence. The intelligence is supposed to be higher, but the mind overtakes the intelligence because the mind is dridam, is very, very strong. It's supposed to be controlling the mind with the help of the intelligence. But in Kali Yuga, what happened? The mind overtakes the intelligence. It's like if there is a bigger warrior, a bigger wrestler. A wrestler is very, very strong, the biggest one, the strongest one. He can defeat everyone. But if he's sleeping, and then it just requires a small boy to defeat him, right? A small boy can defeat if the wrestler is sleeping. Similarly, how is it that the mind, the intelligence is supposed to be higher than the mind, right? The intelligence is supposed to be higher than the mind. So how is it that the mind overtakes? Because when if the intelligence is sleeping and the mind overtakes, the mind is bribing, you can say, the intelligence. The mind is nature, is feeling, willing, and desiring, feeling, willing, and there's one more. Feeling, willing.
Doing.
What's that? The third one? Feeling, willing.
Thinking.
Thinking, yes. Feeling, willing, and thinking. That's the nature of the mind. But also the mind is a storehouse of previous experiences. A storehouse of previous experiences, and the mind also takes the soul to the next body. So it's a storehouse of previous experiences from many births. So the mind is a storehouse of previous experiences, and also why it is very difficult to control the mind, because the mind is chanchala. Krishna explained in Bhagavad Gita that the mind can be our best friend or the worst enemy. Just like a knife is used properly by the doctor for doing operation, or the same knife can be used by a criminal who can also kill some people, right? So the mind is like the knife, can be good or bad also. So the mind can be our best friend or the worst enemy. It can be the worst enemy, but it depends. And the mind also is the sitting place of lust. Arjuna asked Krishna, Atakena prayuktanam papam charati purushaha anishat api vrashnaya baladiva niyojitaha. So what is that Krishna that forces one to sinful act, to commit sinful activities as if by force, even without wanting to do that? Atakena prayuktanam papam charati purusha. What forces one to commit sinful activities, even without desiring? I know, Jina said, I know this is wrong. We know that is wrong. This is bad. But what forces one to sinful acts as if by force, anicham, even without desiring? We don't want to do it, but we are forced to do it. What is this? And then Krishna explained that, yes, this is lust. This is lust. So this lust, Mr. Lust, and the mind also is a sitting place of lust, because the body is a sitting place, the three sitting place of lust in the body: mind, the intelligence, and the senses. And the lust is the worst, is the most devouring sinful enemy of the world. Most devouring sinful enemy. Devouring sinful enemy of the world. Devour. So the word, Prabhupada uses the word devour, devouring. Devour means, like if a tiger kills an animal and eat the flesh of the animal, so you can still find some traces of the animal, the bones, you can find out. But if a cobra eats someone, swallows someone, you can't find any trace. It's called devouring. You don't find a trace. So lust can devour the most devouring sinful enemy of the world. So lust, when someone is influenced, engaged in lust, lusty desires, and his good character is completely devoured. You don't find any trace of that. That's why it's called the most devouring sinful enemy of the world. So the mind is also the sitting place of lust. And even if one wants to go to the forest, still he will be influenced by the lusty desires, because the mind is with him and lust is also sitting there. So this is the enemy. The enemy, one time Arjuna, if someone want to defeat the enemy, if someone want to kill the enemy, first of all, he must know, he must situate where is the enemy residing. Where is the enemy residing? So the three places of lust residing in the body is the mind, intelligence, and the senses. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Like Arjuna, one time he went to the forest to fetch water, and when they were thirsty in the forest, so he went to get water for his brothers. So when he went there, before he was picking the water, he heard a voice coming from the sky. You're not allowed to take this water. First, you must answer my questions. Arjuna did not see anybody. He just heard the voice, and they start shooting his arrows everywhere, anywhere. So he could not kill the voice. He cannot kill the person because he was just shooting anywhere and everywhere. First of all, we have to find out where is the place, the residential place of the enemy. Then we can go and defeat or fight or kill. So similarly, this is a sitting place of lust, is the mind, the senses. Sobari Muni, we see that Sobari Muni, he was very smart. He was thinking that Vishwamitra fell, and he was thinking he was smarter. So he went to do tapasya in Yamuna, in the water of Yamuna, inside there. But even there, he was doing tapasya, great tapasya for many, many years. But still, he became victim to lust. Even in the water, where there is no people, nobody's there, no one is there, no human being. So he was thinking you won't fall victim to lust, but thereby seeing two fish copulating, his mind was dragged. So that's the point. Is even if we try to satisfy the desires, because Krishna said that duspurena nalena cha, lusty desires cannot be satisfied. It burns like fire. It's like pouring ghee into fire. It doesn't stop. It increases the fire more and more. So trying to satisfy our lusty desire, duspurena nalena cha, it burns like fire, can never be satiated. We can never, of course, desires cannot be we cannot also we cannot express desires fully, and also we cannot suppress the desires, right? We cannot express and we cannot suppress also, because one day it will come up if we suppress the desires. When express, because it is duspurena nalena, it burns like fire, it can never be satiated, can never be satisfied. Because that's the nature of lust, can never be satisfied, lusty desires. So we have been trying to satisfy the lusty desires from time immemorial. Still, we have not been able to satisfy the desires of the mind, and that's not the way. So we cannot suppress and we cannot express. Suppress also, one day it will come up. What can be done is to dovetail it, transform desires to the service of the Lord, become Krishna-minded, So lust cannot be satisfied. So converting, yes, to convert the desires to the service of Krishna. That is what is possible, to convert it to the service of Krishna. So this is, instead of trying to control it artificially, instead of trying to control the mind artificially, it's very difficult to control the mind artificially. So if we engage the mind in the service, thinking of Krishna, then it's possible to, in fact, control the mind. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Like Arjuna is saying again, that it's easier to control the wind, but it's so difficult to control the mind. And Krishna is saying, yes, it is possible, Arjuna. Undoubtedly, it is very, very difficult, but it is possible by practice and vairagya. So we become Krishna-minded by becoming Krishna-conscious and not Very nice point. You made a very nice point. You see, sometime we were walking, right? We were walking on the street or somewhere we were walking. And it happened that while we were walking, we hit a column, or we hit somebody who is also walking, who's coming in our direction. We hit him, you know. So although we are seeing, we are looking, yeah, the eyes are there, the eyes is also looking, but it happened we hit someone while walking, or there is a column somewhere we hit, or there is a car which is taxied, standing by, we hit the car. So what does that mean? Although we are seeing, we are watching, we are seeing, but although seeing, but we are not seeing. Pashyati na pashyati, right? Also we are seeing, but we are not seeing. So because the mind is absent, the mind is somewhere else, right? You see nowadays somebody's on this mobile phone and is walking, and sometimes he just hits somebody else or hit some columns on the street because the mind is not there. He's seeing, his eyes is there, but the mind is somewhere else. And that's why he pashyati na pashyati. He's seeing despite seeing, but he's not seeing, right? Prabhupada also mentioned one time there was in a temple, there was some bird that was making its nest on top of the ceiling. The bird was making its nest there. So Srila Prabhupada told the devotee to remove this nest, these grasses, and stuff some piece of papers there. So the devotees did it. Put some papers to stuff the hole so that to prevent the bird from making the nest. And then, but the bird came again, and the bird trying to remove the paper, the stuffed papers there. And then Prabhupada said, see, just see, pashyati na pashyati. Although the bird is seeing that is being prevented, but is not seeing. The bird is seeing that, they have somebody have put some stuffed papers there, but the bird is still not seeing. So all despite seeing, but is not seeing. So although we're walking, we are with the mobile phone, we are looking, we are seeing, but we're not seeing because the mind is absent. So he mentioned, Damodar Maharaj mentioned that it is not the eyes also is looking. Sometimes we see bad things. The eye is supposed to be used to see Krishna for darshan. All our senses used to be in the service of Krishna. The eye is supposed to be seeing Lord Krishna, having darshan. Then it become purified. So the mind, the eyes, it is not that the eye that one need to close to be able to avoid seeing the wrong things. To avoid seeing the wrong things. It is not that we should close the eyes. It is, of course, just like Bilva Mangala Thakur did it. Bilva Mangala Thakur, he just poked out his eyes because he said that this eye is so sinful. He became the victim of Maya with Chintamani. And then again, that he was attracted by one Brahmin lady. And then he went there and asked the lady to give him his hairpin. And then he poked out his eyes, right? So, but he was a very special person. He could do it. But it's not the eye that we need to close. It is the eyes of the mind. That's what Maharaj said. It is the eyes of the mind that we need to close. It means we need to purify the mind, not to just close the eyes. The eyes can be also purified by seeing Krishna, having darshan of Krishna. But the mind is the most important element that one needs to close. He said one need to close the eyes of the mind. So how do we do that? We have the most powerful element, the mantra, Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare, Hare. And mantra. Mantra means purification of the mind, is to deliver the mind. The acharyas have explained that the cause of our material existence, the cause of the suffering is a mind. That's why we have the most powerful medicine, which is the mind. Very, very powerful. Is that Bhajahuri mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare. Bhajahuri mana, oh mind, please chant the names of the Lord. Bhajahuri mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charana Ravindare. Durlabha Manava Janma Satsange Taroho Ebava Sindure. Durlabha Manava Janma. This body is rarely obtained, and it is meant to it is a gift given by God, by Krishna, to be able to become delivered from this material world. So one also has to become this single-mindedness. We say single-mindedness. What does that mean, to become single-minded? So it's having a goal in life, having a goal, one-pointed attention. Ekeha kuru nandana, one-pointed attention. So if one have many desires, sometimes the desires crowding the mind, which pull us here and there, then we cannot move onwards. It is very, very difficult to move onwards. So ekeha kuru nandana. So ekeha kuru nandana, one-pointed attention. Krishna-minded means to become one-pointed attention. Like the Arjuna. Arjuna he was the greatest archer, right? And he was a famous one, #1 archer, because he was, Dronacharya said he's the best because he was, many of them were asked to close one eye and see what they can see. There was a fish on the tree, And Arjuna said, I can see only the eyes of the fish, right? Because he was focused. Others would be able to see the fish, the body, the tree, and the houses there. But Arjuna only saw the eyes of the fish because he was focused. Ekeha kuru nandana. Bahusaka yanantascha. Bahusaka. If the mind is intelligence is many branched, then it is, if we're not focused, vyavasayatmika. If you're not focused, if you're not vyavasayatmika, then the intelligence become many branch, right? So focus is very, ekeha kuru nandan is very, very important. One become committed. So Arjuna was focused on the target. And the most important also, the association of devotees, of like-minded people. If we have association of people with like-minded, then we become Krishna-minded. If we associate with people, with the devotees who are like-minded people, we associate, because our association, Krishna consciousness association, is our spiritual advancement depend 99% on association of devotees, of like-minded people. So if we associate with like-minded people, then when we asat sangat tyagas satovrite, asat sangat tyagas satovrite. So asat sang, we should do asat sang tyaga, renounce bad association, satovrite, and associate with the sadhus, right? Sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sarva sastra kahe, lava matra sadhu sanga, sarva siddhi hoy. So this is associating with like-minded people. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to his place to reside at his place. But although Krishna was there, but he was not Krishna-minded. You can't say he was absent-minded in one sense. Although Krishna was there, but he was absent-minded because he did not realize that Krishna is there. Even his brother-in-law, Gopinath Acharya, told him, he was Mayavadi. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was great Mayavadi. So his brother-in-law, Gopinath Acharya, told him, that although the Lord is staying at your house, but still you are not recognizing him. The Lord is there at your place. But this is not your fault, because you have received the mercy of, you're receiving the mercy of Mayavad philosophy. So this is also, we can say that absent-minded, that although the Lord is there, it happens sometime, that Lord, it is said that we should count our blessing, not our what we are missing. People tend to count what is missing in his life. I miss this, I don't have this, I don't have that. But then they say that do not count what you're missing, but count your blessing. You're already getting so much blessing. We're getting, sometimes Krishna comes in different form, but we may not also recognize. It comes in the forms of association of the devotees, in the form of Bhagavad Gita. Somebody gives Bhagavad Gita, the devotees. This is a blessing, the chanting of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada, these are blessings. The holy dham, the temple, the devotees, the deities, the prasadam. These are blessings. Krishna is showering his blessing, but we may not also recognize that Krishna is showering his blessing. People tend to think, oh, I'm counting, he's counting what is missing in his life. But he said, do not count what you're missing, but count your blessing. So like that, the mind imagine pleasures, but there's no pleasure in this world. The mind becomes infatuate us with pleasures. And the mind also think in a greater scale, greater, and which actually, in fact, it is not. So it's called the mind neglects also opportunities, and the mind denies realities. This is the point. The mind neglect opportunities when opportunities come, but the mind neglects. And the mind also denies realities. Like this world is dukhalayam asasvatam, it's a temporary world. I mentioned earlier that when we look inside, we are awakened. If we look outside, then we are dreaming, right? So it's just like this world is like a shadow, this temporary world. Somebody, if you try to feed someone, that's okay. If we try to feed a shadow of somebody, this is called dreaming. You cannot feed a shadow, and one becomes frustrated. The food should be given to the person, not to the shadow, right? If you go somewhere to a river, you find a tree at the bank of the river which is full of mangoes, and then you can see the reflection in the water. What you try to do, you try to pick the mangoes in the water. It doesn't make sense. So mangoes should be picked from the tree. So because this world is a world of, it's a temporary world, and we cannot actually become satisfied, become pleased, because the mind one should not become trapped by the mind. Tap the mind, they said tap the mind, but not be trapped by the mind. So the mind can also be the cause of liberation or the cause of bondage. The cause of liberation and the cause of the bondage, as Krishna is saying, is the greatest friends or the greatest enemy. So one should become Krishna-minded, means Krishna consciousness. That's the solution. There's no other way. And the best way to be Krishna conscious, to become Krishna-minded, is by always glorifying Krishna, by always chanting his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the greatest well. Guru Kira Premadana, Harinam Sankirtan. Because the mind has never become, the mind control everyone, even the intelligence. And the mind has never become under the control of anyone. Right? The mind has never become under the control of anyone, controls everything. So the the most important element in body to understand is the nature of the mind, is chanchal. And it is something that it is inside things, right? It's like if there is a wild grass growing, a wild grass is growing, and if you try to cut the grass from the top, the wild grass will grow again, right? The wild grass will grow again because the roots still there. So all the ritualistic practice, all the ritualistic practice is like cutting the grass from the top, and the grass will grow again because the roots still there. But bhakti yoga, the chanting of the holy name, it uproots, it takes out the roots that it won't grow again. It burns the roots that it won't grow again. This is why you find also in Srimad Bhagavatam, Parishit Maharaj, he asked this question to Sukadeva Goswami, a very pertinent question. He mentioned that Ajamil, he never did praschita. He did not do any praschita. So how come that he was liberated? Because it is explained, Sukadeva Goswami explained, in this world, before dying, before death, everyone must do praschita, right? Otherwise, one will go to hell and suffer in hell. Everyone has to do praschita. So, and then, so how is it that Ajamal never did any praschita, atonement? He did not do any atonement. So how is it that he was liberated? Because then Sukadeva Goswami explained that for every sinful activity one has done, he must perform atonement. If it is a smaller sinful activity, he must do atonement, praschita accordingly. If it is a bigger sin, he must do a bigger atonement. But Ajamil never did atonement, praschita. So how is it that he was liberated? Of course, Sukadeva Goswami mentioned that because he just chanted Narayan, and Narayan, the name of Krishna, the name of the Lord, is big enough to counteract all sinful activities, no matter what is the size of that sinful activity. And Sukadeva Goswami explained that why praschita doesn't work, because Parishit Maharaj was against it, because he said that praschita is like bathing of a mad elephant. The bathing, sorry, not mad elephant, elephant, the bathing of the elephant. The elephant would go to the river and take bath, and again he would spoil himself. He would throw dirt on his body. So this is kind of the bathing of the elephant. I know, atonement, people, they do atonement, they do sinful activities, and they come atone for the sinful activity. So Parishit Maharaj was not happy about it, did not agree about that. So then Sukadeva Goswami, why praschita it doesn't work? Because sinful activity is karmakant, right? Karmakant. And this praschita also is karmakant. Is karmakant, fruitive. It is fruitive acts. Praschita is fruitive acts. So by doing ritualistic activities, that is also fruitive. So one fruitive cannot solve the other fruitive. Sinful activity is also due to fruitive activity. Sinful activity is also done due to fruitive activity. So praschita is also fruitive activity. So it cannot help. So praschita is just like burning. Sukadeva Goswami explained, it's like praschita is like burning the bamboo leaves and the bamboo stick. but not the roots of the bamboo. This is praschita. It can burn it can be seen that the whole forest of bamboo, they're burnt, and the bamboo sticks are burned, the leaves are burned to ashes, but the roots are still there. The roots are still there. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami explained that this praschita doesn't help, and even Parishit Maharaj did not agree about it, and he wasn't happy about doing praschita. But chanting of the holy name can actually, in fact, uproot or burn the roots to ashes. It has got the power. This is why this story of Jamin is given in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, becoming Krishna-minded, not absent-minded, is in fact Krishna-minded means Krishna conscious. One has to be always Krishna conscious, and the way to be Krishna conscious in this Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to be always Krishna conscious, 24 hours, by chanting, by serving, by thinking of Krishna. And in this age of Kali, which is easiest way, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Sri Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for all your attention. And I would like to ask if anybody have any comments or any question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. With your permission, if you allow, can I take 30 seconds to just go over some announcements?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Maharaj. So the devotees, we have this coming Wednesday, we have His Grace Ravi Lochan Prabhu, who's going to be speaking on dealings with between devotees. It's a 3-part series, a seminar. This will mainly be in Hindi. That's his preference. He said he would like to, but he will speak a little bit English also, but the talk will mainly be in Hindi. And he's from ISKCON Dwarka in Delhi. Next Sunday will be His Grace Kalakanta Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada disciple from Alachua, and the topic is Make Krishna Your Valentine. And then our other programs, you can go to the website and check it out, ISKCONofbergen.org. We have weekly stories for children, Friday programs we call Bhakti Rikshas, daily Bhagavad Gita readings, and daily morning japa sessions from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And also on our website and our YouTube channel, you will find all the past lectures that were given. All right, with that, we open the floor for any questions. If you have, please raise your hand, or you can type it in the chat box. It's a very important topic, mind control. It's mainly when we give into the mind, that's when things get a little messier. How to control the mind, how to let intelligence stay on top. Okay, I will start with a question, Maharaj. You had mentioned earlier that that one wants to, let me just see, I've written it down. You had mentioned that, want versus what is the need. We may have, for example, you said that we can't always get what we want. But someone may say that, well, not really. I want to travel. I'm traveling to some place and I want to travel in business class. So I have the money, I'll get what I want. I want a better house. I have the money, I'll get a better house. So how is it not that I won't get whatever I want? I have the money and I can get it. I can have anything that I want in this world.
Yeah, very good question. But the first place is even getting the money. It is according to what we deserve. So not everybody desires to have money, right? Everybody wants to become rich, but he cannot become rich because some people have money. Yes, they can get bigger house, but it is according to what he deserves, right? To his punya, to his karma punya also. And because he has also performed pious activities in the past, right? So he's getting the fruits of his action. And that's also, again, according to what he deserved. I've said because he deserved that. And that is not also what he wants, because he's got the money to buy a bigger house. And because he also has done some pious activity in the past, because not everybody become rich. Not everyone who desire to be rich, who desire to have a bigger house. Sometimes it is a dream. Your home, the bigger house is a dream for the poor people, right? They're dreaming to get a bigger house, but they can't afford to get a bigger house. Not everyone. Everybody is desiring to have a bigger house, but he can't get it. But one person gets it. Yes, he's got money. Yes, because that's also because of his pious deed, pious activities. So I want to say that we get what we deserved. Like Avanti Brahmana said, he mentioned, I'm getting what I deserve because he was a kripana, right? He was kripana. He would make people work, and then he won't pay them, right? He was rich, was great big businessman, but he would not pay them. Now is people are teasing him, they're beating him, they're throwing stones and stools upon him, and he said, I'm getting what I deserve according to my karma. Yes, that's what we get. So even the house that somebody's buying, that's also because, of course, he deserved that because of his past punya.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, there's a question in the chat box. There's a two-part question. The first is silent meditation focusing solely on breath considered meditating on voidness? That's the first part of the question. Then I can ask you the second.
Yes, on voidness, and this is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna mentioned about meditation or developing the chakras, meditating upon Om, right? So, but this is not the practice that we've been asked to practice. This is for the Astanga yogis or for the yogis, right? So, but you'll find also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling us about Sat Chakra, developing the Sat Chakra, or the meditation, or pronouncing the Omkar, meditating on Omkar. The Prabhupada there, he's writing, so the best meditation is chanting of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So meditating on voidness, this is impersonal meditation. So impersonal meditation, one will reach the impersonal world, the Brahma Jyoti, right? So spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan Dham, when one meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of His name. Yeah. What is the second part of the question?
Yeah, I believe you answered the second part. The second part was, and is there a preferred way to meditate? Which you answered.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Because if you read Bhagavad Gita in chapter 8, also Krishna is speaking about the other process especially for the Astanga yogis, right? He speaks about that, but it's not for the Bhakti yogis. There, Prabhupada is saying this is not for the Bhakti yogis. Best way, because Krishna, he speaks about Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, about many yoga systems. He speaks in Bhagavad Gita. But at the end, he said that the only way that you can know me, bhaktyamam abhijanati, through bhakti. So chanting of the holy name is the one process of Navavida Bhakti, Sravanam and Kirtanam. So Kirtanam means chanting of the holy name. So that's the best way to meditate upon the holy name, the sound vibration of Krishna's name. and meditating on the form of the Lord. Because when we say meditation, upon whom are we meditating? There has to be someone. That is Krishna. That is a holy name. So that's the best way.
Thank you, Maharaj. Mawati, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
You had mentioned about the mind neglecting some opportunities. So is it like only the spiritual opportunities, or even material opportunities as well?
It could be both also. Both opportunities. Mind is always chanchal. Mind is neglecting opportunities, Krishna consciousness, because many times people, they get the association of devotees, the temple is there, and the books are there. They have been given the Bhagavad Gita, but so neglecting that opportunity could also read. The mind will say, no, don't read, do something else, right? But the mind, we are chanting holy name, and the mind is neglecting, mind is somewhere else. Don't chant, do this, do that. Take the mobile phone call, So the mind is neglecting opportunities, is always chanchal. And the mind, I've said already, the mind becomes the control, and the mind has never become under the control of anyone, right? So yes, materially also neglect the opportunities that is there, because mind drags the living entities. So it could be both, yes.
So how do we decide that which opportunity, it is, whatever it comes on our way, it is, we can opt for it, because there is sometimes a dilemma of making choices.
Arjuna's, it is said that his body is like a chariot. The body is like a chariot. So the horses are the senses, the rein, the ropes is like the mind, and the chariot driver is the intelligence. So the chariot driver is controlling the rope, the rein, the mind, and the mind is controlling the senses. Because the mind is higher than the senses, and higher than the senses is the intelligence. So who is driving Arjuna's chariot? It is Krishna. So the charioteer is Krishna. So our intelligence would be Krishna conscious intelligence. So one can control the mind with a Krishna conscious intelligence, because the intelligence is higher. And also Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. There's Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu also is there. So and then so that we can understand.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All girls, Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Maharaj, I have 3 questions. First question is regarding the topic which we are discussing today, the mindfulness. So I hear this buzzword many often, even the corporate world as well, like a being present, stay in the moment. So I was just wondering, especially while we are chanting, 2 things will happen. Like at least I can talk from my side. So one is mind goes to the past tense, like I would have been done that way, I would have been done this way, things like that. The future is, yeah, I will do this, I will do that. If I don't do this, what will happen? Things like that. So I know that this is not good practice. This is not good. The stay in the present is really the goal, but the mind is always either like a 2 wings of the bird. Either it's past or future. Could you please throw some light how we can stay in present, even though we know consciously, even unconsciously, but still it's always mind shifts.
Yeah. Even if you say, Bhakti Charu Maharaj one, he said that the present time doesn't exist in this world. There's always a past and a future.
Hmm.
The spiritual world is present. Present time exists. There's no past. Although it seems sometimes it seems sometimes that it's past, because sometimes the gopis will say, do you remember that time when Krishna was here? You know, so this is kind of it seems that there is past time, past tense, past time. So in spiritual world is always present time. But in this world, material world, is no present time, doesn't exist, because when we say present time, now, how long does it last? At your place, maybe it is, I don't know, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock is last only for 1 second, right? Then it become 9 o'clock, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, it's always going. So, but of course, the spiritual world is present time. How do you remain present here? Because the mind is always, mind drag us into desires, activities, and also it might magnify the problems. So Krishna is saying, wherever wherever the mind is wandering, is going somewhere, one needs to drag it back, bring it back to the mind. That's the nature of the mind, it will go. But Krishna is saying that one should bring the mind back. You know, it will go here. And in the beginning, it's difficult for the beginners. The 3 ways of chanting the holy name. There is one with offenses. The first stage is with offenses. The mind is always being dragged, always going away. And then as we keep on chanting, and then one will become on the second stage, clearing stage, you know, clearing stage. And then later on, as we keep on chanting, and then you come on the first stage, pure chanting, right? Because that's the nature. It is always like that. It will go away in the beginning, and as you keep on chanting, as we keep on chanting the holy name, because it's a holy name that has the power to control the mind. Nam namakari bahuda nijasara shakti. So the Lord has put all this shakti in the holy name. So it's only the chanting that can bring the mind back and be at the present. You know, I heard Radhanath Maharaj one, he was saying that many people, they take pictures, take photograph, right? The tourist. But then they neglect to live at the present moment. They're taking pictures, yes, for memories for future. But they neglect to be at the present moment, to live the present time, right? So that's the mind, because the mind is always thinking in the future and the past. And again, I said neglecting opportunities. So by chanting, constant chanting, then the mind will become control, fix. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, my second question is like we discussed that mind is storehouse of previous experiences and takes to the different bodies. So that from that perspective, we see like we are getting what we want, not like what we deserve. Is that we can understand that way? Because this body is a production of my previous karma. So that means to say I'm getting this thing because of what I want.
Yeah. Yes. The mind is a storehouse of previous experiences, if I understood your question. So whatever we do now, whatever we have, whatever experiences we have, it's coming also because the mind, the intelligence is the discriminating power. Intelligence discriminate between good and bad. The false ego is a bond between body and the soul. That's a false ego. The bond between the body and the soul. The intelligence is the discriminating power, so it can discriminate between good and bad. But the mind is feeling, willing, and thinking, and also is a storehouse of previous experiences. So you're saying that the mind is the storehouse of what we wanted, right? Previously.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Yes, but that also the desires are there. Desires are there. We want this, we want that, and yes, also it is all according to our karma. right? It's karma. So if we are getting this, we're getting that, we're getting money, or we're suffering. So it's all due to our karma. Again, it's the mind, right? Again, it is a mind, because the mind is a cause of our material existence. Avanti Brahmana said, rightly said, he said, I'm suffering. It's not because of somebody, it's not because of a neighbor, it's not because of this, not because of that. It is because of the mind. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, Maharaj. Actually, where I kind of lost, because we discussed that in the world, like the present world, we get what we want, not we
No, we
don't get
get
what
what
we want. We
we get
don't get
what
what we want.
we get
Yeah,
what
we
we
don't get
deserve.
what we want, but what we deserve. So from the other perspective, when we coming to this body, we get what we got this body because I want this. I want to be certain psychophysical nature, so I got this. That I got this by my want, not by what I deserve. But whatever happening here now is I get what I deserve, not I what I want. So that's where I kind of lost.
Yeah. I mean, we deserved means the reaction that we get is is according to what we deserved. It is due to our karma. That's a reaction that we get. It is due to our what we deserve. Means it is according to our activities that we have performed, right? So we are the cause of our the mind is the cause of our suffering, and we getting what we deserve means we get according to what we have done ourselves,
Yeah.
to our karma. So that's what I'm saying. We get what we deserve. We don't get what we want, right? So although we want something, many times we want many things, we don't get it, right? Right? Or we may also get it, but that is according to what we deserved.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the point. We may also want get something that what we want, but that also according, because we don't get everything that we want, right? Why that? We don't get everything that we want. So even if we get something according to what we want, but that's also we get it according to what we deserved, right? Yeah, that's the point.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, the last question is like we discussed that even the lust is sitting in the intelligence. So that is kind of a scaring, because lust is sitting in the mind. Okay, we understand, but even the intelligence, that is the one which we use, especially for a devotional service. We most of the time we need to use intelligence, because intelligence something. Better than mind in terms of quality or in scholar type. So, but by knowing that even the lust is sitting in the intelligence also, kind of it's scarce. Like that mean to say, even devotional service also sometimes we use intelligence, but there the lust may be sitting.
This is just like the three sitting places of lust is the mind, intelligence, and the senses. You find that the lust is not only in the intelligence, in the senses, but we don't use only the intelligence, we also use the mind in the service of Krishna. We also use the senses in the service of Krishna, right? So it's like when we perform, in fact, when we performing arti, or in the temple, when we go to the temple, we see that all the arti means we are using all the immaterial elements in the service of Krishna, the fire, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And the mind we use by chanting the mantras, focusing on the mantras. This mind is being engaged in service. And the intelligence by fixing the intelligence on the deity, seeing the darshan. And the false ego is also engaged. How do we engage the false, purify the false ego by paying obeisances, right? So just like we use the mind in the service of Krishna by thinking of Krishna, although the lust is there also in the mind, sitting place of lust is also the mind. So the mind, just like the mind is also engaged in thinking of Krishna, because the mind is a worst, and the best can be our best friend, or the worst enemy, and depending on how it's being used. So it's like a knife. Knife is good or bad also. So similarly, the intelligence also can be in that way, having Krishna conscious intelligence, and taking the intelligence, the Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu also can help. And that's how the intelligence can also become Krishna conscious intelligence. Otherwise, it's material, right? Material intelligence. So it's speak about spiritual intelligence. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? So Ramachandra Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj. There's a couple more questions if you're able to take.
Yeah.
So there's one in the chat. If we get what we deserve and not what we want, then if somebody is beating us up, what should be our reaction? Keep getting beaten up, not do anything about it because I deserve?
Yes. We always, if it is a devotee, yes, we should try to protect ourselves also, because this body is meant to serve Krishna. So one should, it is said that if one is being criticized, one should tolerate it. But if someone is criticizing a devotee, then we should not tolerate. That's what it is said. You know, it is said if somebody is criticizing a superior person, four ways to take it. So either one should leave the place, or should cut his tongue, or commit suicide, right? Or try to defeat him also. That's possible. But we cannot cut somebody's tongue, because we're not the the law is not in our hand. When it comes to the case of Lord Shiva, when Shiva was being criticized, Parvati, she chose to to commit suicide. She committed suicide. Few ways. But if one is being criticized oneself, so one can tolerate it for oneself. But if one is being beaten, similarly, that one should, if he's being beaten, of course, he should try to protect the body, because of course it's also, yes, it's also due to karma, because nothing happened by chance, right? So he should try to protect himself, because his body is meant to be used in the service of Krishna for a higher cause. But even the beating is due to what we deserve with karma. Everything is according to our karma, right? But this is why Krishna consciousness, chanting of the holy name, can purify all the karmas, not by prashchita, but by devotional service.
Thank you,
Yes?
Maharaj. Yes. The other question is that when somebody loses their mind, right? It's very commonly people say, you've lost your mind. At that moment, how can one regain their sense? You know, they're completely out of control, saying anything, anger, everything sinks in. At that time, what should a person do to become calm and composed again?
Yes. Yeah, that's the nature of the mind, rebels, angry. Because I said already, behind everything, the culprit is a mind. Right? The culprit is mind. Our existence in this material world is due to the mind. This is a very important element to understand. So and you also find that the mind cheating, right? Drag us to the future and the past and neglect opportunities. It's all due to the mind. So, and you find also when somebody dhyayato visayan pumsa sangate supajayate sangat sanjate kama kama krodha vijayate. Contemplation contemplating the sense object, and then one develop attachment. After attachment, there is lust, develop lust. Sangat says upajaya sangat sanjati kama. Kama is lust. After lust, even lust is sometimes it is satisfied or not satisfied. So kama krodha vijayate, then there is anger. Krodha vijayate, kama krodha vijayate, samoha, one become delusion. Smriti vibhansat, mean then smriti, memory is lost. Then one falls down. So, and afterwards, somebody, after doing that, then he realizes, oh, when he become calm, then he realizes, oh, what I have done? It's a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. So, this is all happening. The root, what is the root cause? Dhyayato visayan pumsam sangate supajate sangat sansade kama. So, the root cause is contemplation. So, contemplating on the sense object leads to anger. So that's why one should contemplate on Krishna, on the spiritual object, you know. So then one can get control of the mind, right? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. We have a question from Gopal Govind Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Very powerful class you gave. There's so many tips. Still trying to recollect all of them. You mentioned the seating places of the lust. Likewise, is any seating place for the desire? Where does it go?
That's the function of the mind itself. The nature of the mind is feeling, willing, and thinking. That's willing, right? That's the desires. So it's the mind itself, sitting place of it's the nature of the mind, desires, right? The mind of the heart also. But the heart and the mind are similar in a sense that because it's coming from there. So the desires is the willing. We want something, willing. So that's the desires also. So that's the function of the mind. Yes. Minds want desires, think many things, desire, wants this, want that, you know. He wants undesirable things also to enjoy. So this is why focus has been given to the mind. And we have the real medicine, and the medicine is called mantra. Mantra means the mind, purifying the mind, you know, and liberating the mind, delivering the mind. So the desire is coming from there. Because lust, what is lust? Lust is lusty desires, right? Lust means lusty desires. So that's the sitting place is the mind. Right?
We also hear that desires continue to be there even if you transcend, even the spiritual world, desires are there. So mind is a material body, right? So I'm just a little bit confused on that.
No, I've said already that one cannot express or suppress desires, but it can be transformed into spiritual desires. So there are spiritual desires in the spiritual world. Yes, it is transformed. It becomes devotional service. That's the nature of the soul. Sachitananda, right? It becomes one. It becomes such, because the mind is material. Mind doesn't go. Mind takes the soul to the next body, right? This you find sometime you find that a child is born when he comes to 1, 2, 3, 4 years. He has some expertise, right? He knows how to paint, how to sing, because the mind is a storehouse of previous experiences. That's why he got it. Where he got it, all this from childhood. He's having some expertise. He's a good painter. He's a good musician. Whereas some other people, they try to practice music, but it's difficult. So because the mind is the storehouse of the previous experiences, and the mind is also material, doesn't go to the spiritual world. And there, the mind, the body, soul is one in the spiritual world, right? So it's one, it's the soul, the desire of the soul. So to serve Krishna is to always serve Krishna, to always be Krishna conscious. That's what the soul, the Sachit Ananda. Is that correct? Or
Thank you, Maharaj, for explaining nicely.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, there's a question in the chat box. You mentioned Vyavasayatmika Buddhi verse about single-pointed attention. So does that mean a person should not be multitasking at one time?
this is given by Krishna in chapter 8. Krishna gave the balance. He said, because Arjuna was confused. Arjuna was thinking of to become a yogi. Spiritual life means to become a yogi, to renounce work. Krishna says that Nasruta karma phalam. A sannyasi means one who renounce the fruit of his action. He is a sannyasi. And not the one who lights no fire and perform no work is not a sannyasi. One who lights no fire and perform no work is not a sannyasi. Sannyasi means one who works and one who works and one who lights fire. You know, so you find that in our Krishna consciousness movement, the sannyasi, they're performing work and they're also lighting fire. So we're not drawing renunciants. So we light fire, we can do yagya, we cook for the Lord, sannyasis can cook for the Lord, and also perform yagya, or perform the sankirtan yagya. This is also fire, sankirtan, fiery kirtan we say sometimes. So it works and building temple, collection, and book distribution. Sannyasi should work and lights fire, because Arjuna was thinking to become a devotee, to become a sannyasi, to become a yogi means stop working and lights no fire. That's what he was saying. Krishna is saying no. Then Krishna explained how to make the balance now. So he said that Mamismaran Yudyascha. Mamismaran Yudyascha. So he said, you think of me and then perform your duty. Right? Think of me and perform your duty. That's a focus. Think of Krishna. So that's balance. Balanced life. Balance doesn't mean so much time only for family, so much time for wedding ceremony, so much time for schools, so much time for business. It's not balance. Balance means spirituality, so much time for spiritual and so much time for material. Then you become focused, right? Ekeha Kurunandana. Although multitasking, we have to do our duty. People, they have to do so many things. But Dr. Thakur explained, Krishnayara samsara kori chadi anachar. Krishnayara samsara kori chadi anachar. Krishnayara samsara, you perform your duty. Even your family duty, worldly duty, you can do it. Krishnayara samsara kori means you do your duty, yes, but Krishnayara, in relation to Krishna. Right? In our case, that is the focus, in relation to Krishna. So, yeah, Krishna gave the solution. Mamismaran, Yudhishthira. But then which one is first? Mamismaran, he said Mamismaran, then Yudhishthira. You do your duty, Mamismaran, think of me and do your duty. So think of Krishna as the first. That's the focus.
Thank you, Maharaj. Rameshwaran Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Maharaj, another question I had just triggered. So Maharaj, if I'm taking some decision, how is there any way I can validate or check I'm taking this decision by using the faculty of a senses or mind or intelligence?
Very good question. Normally, I've said already that Krishna's Charotya, Arjuna's Charotya is Krishna. Means Charotya is the intelligence, right? So taking a decisions with the help of the intelligence, and the intelligence has to be Krishna conscious intelligence. What is this Krishna conscious intelligence? Is Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. We get it from there, from Guru, from Shastra and Sadhu. We always check from senior devotees, right? From our Shiksha Guru, so we can get help from them. So in that way, that faculty can be, in that sense, being used in that service, or in that way, getting the support and the help and the intelligence of the senior devotees, or the Shiksha Guru, or from the scripture, or from Guru himself, Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. So, and that's how we can make sure that this is a correct decision we are taking. Right?
Thank you, Maharaj.